Alright, today I am introducing a new series I'm going to do. This was inspired by ice cream, oddly enough. And if you want to hear the backstory on it, go to my blog and I write a little bit about it. It's www.designbymelody.com. Today's inspiration is from Ben & Jerry's Liz Lemon. And if you want to see about that, apparently it comes out this spring and it's on benandjerry.com. And it's got blueberries and or blueberry swirl and lemon Greek yogurt, I think is what it is. But either way, it's blue and yellow as the color scheme. So you can see what I'm picking out here. I went through all of my supplies looking for blue and yellow elements. So there's not one particular manufacturer that I used. I just used a lot of different ones. And I ended up tying a little bit of green in to kind of balance out the colors, but the green also pulls out the yellow and the different elements. So I have, let's see, this paper is from the SEI. Let's see, is that from SEI? Yes, this is SEI On the Coast collection, and this piece is called Coral Reef. And then I'm using this is actually a like a punch tool, and I don't have a distressor, so I used it as a distressor and kind of filed the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of texture. It already has a little bit of texture because there's glitter and like embossing on the front of the paper, but doing a little bit to the edges also gave it a little bit more. So I'm going to, this is a standard A2 standard size card, and I'm opening it from the side. I'm going to use my grid mat here to help me line up. And this piece is going to span the entire length of the bottom of the card. And it's going to be somewhat of an anchoring point for some of the other elements on the page. Like I'm going to put that bird that I pointed out earlier and you see on the right side of the screen. Okay, I was having some serious issues with this punch. I couldn't seem to get it lined up, and then I realized it's because I needed to lay it down. So you see all these failed attempts with all this other paper, and then as soon as I lay it down, it works out perfectly. So I just punched it on the corner, and then I'm going to trim down. This is the EK Success Swiss cheese corner punch, and I just trimmed it down to just kind of have the circles punched out the end of this paper, and it's just slightly smaller than the On the Coast paper that I have put. So I'm using this Portfolio ink, and this came in a big set of scrapbook supplies. It's Portfolio Premium Pigment Ink Pad, and the yellow is kind of a bright yellow, and it doesn't show up very well with stamping words, but it worked out perfectly for kind of inking the edges here. I wanted to bring in a little bit more yellow and not have this plain white. And I dropped my ink, of course, but it did not mess up anything. Just inking the edges of this just white piece of cardstock. I'm going to put some other embellishments on this white piece, so it's not just going to stay white, but I wanted to bring in yellow, more yellow. Kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Okay, so I have these SEI rub-ons, and these are from the SEI, and they're the Poppy collection. And when I use rub-ons, I cut them out and place them on the paper because it is inevitable I will accidentally rub on the thing next to it if I don't do this. I've never really used rub-ons a whole lot before, but in probably about the last 6 months, I've really started using them a lot. I bought a whole bunch from SEI at a scrapbook show I went to, and they had all these different ones, and I think they were old collections, but they had all these different ones, and I bought a whole bunch. I think they were like $1 a pack. It was something insanely cheap. I was debating using those brads because there was that nice big yellow one, but it was more of a mustard yellow than the bright yellow I was going for. so I end up not using those. I'm just going to cut these rub-ons apart here, and so I can spread them out a little bit further than what they were initially spread out. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to use those droplets that you see on the right side. These are from Kaiser Scrapbook, and they're called Sky Blue droplets. I'm going to use those in between, and they look just like water droplets. It's crazy. And they're tiny. They had issues with them sticking to my fingers. I'm just going to randomly place a few of these on here, and this kind of brings those yellow and blue elements together again. I like this card. It ended up being very bright and kind of springy looking, especially since I used a bird element. And I have 3 packages of these sky blue droplets, so I was not shy about using them on this card. I think I used 4, 5, 6, I think I used 10 droplets altogether. And I'm just using my rub-ons. I know there are some seriously more high-tech tools, but I just used the little popsicle stick that they send with it, or that they package with it. So, alright, so I have my rub-ons done. I have my inking of the edges. I have my my sky blue droplets on as well. So, next thing I'm looking at doing is this scallop border, which is on, well, I'm going to adhere this down first. I was having issues with my glue. It was almost gone. I have this scallop border, which you see on the top right of the screen. That is from Echo Park label. No, it's not. That is from Jelly Bean Soup cardstock stickers. It's the Summer Squash Soup collection. I have to start cleaning stuff off here. Okay, and as I pull this off, I continuously ripped it. I think I ripped it 3 times. I'm only going to cut off the piece that I need so I don't waste any of it. Right, you see there it rips once. There it goes twice. I think that's it. I think it just happened into 3 pieces, so I think it just happened twice. But because it's somewhat of a busy pattern, it says words like, let's see, party, hot, barbecue, H2O, sunshine. So it's kind of a summer theme. But it's just a whole bunch of little words, and some of them are kind of shadowed on there, so it's not so much what they say, it's more that just that it's a little bit of a pattern that's added to the base of the card. And it was in neutral tones, and it had a few little yellow words in there too, which you can't see on the video, but there's a few tiny little yellow words on there as well, and the other words are just black. It's a sticker, so it just sticks down, and these were actually pretty sticky. I know sometimes they're not. Alright, so I have my little bird here, and this is from the Recollections 8x8, the pet pad. And this little bird was just so cute. And this is another reason why I had this little banner spot at the bottom. I wanted to give him something to be anchored on. I didn't want him just kind of floating around. And this tag, I love these little tags. These are from, this is Chic Tags. This is the Spring Words and Icons, and it says hello there. And I did not, if you notice, I did not stick my little bird all the way down because I wanted to possibly move him. This label sticker is from, this is the one that's from the Echo Park label stickers, Photo Freedom Volume 1. And I wanted to kind of have it under the tag here, so you'll see me kind of fiddle around with it and move my bird and all that. And that's where he is going to stay. And then this label sticker I was just going to put under my little speech bubble sticker. I mean speech bubble tag. I'm going to use dimensional adhesives for this. And going back to the whole ice cream theme thing, it all started when I was going through the grocery store and I was looking at different ice creams and I realized, man, there are a ton of different flavors and a lot of them are pretty fun looking. So I thought it'd be nice to use those as inspiration. So again, that's where the yellow and the blue theme comes from. And then I just kind of picked something around that. I have about 7 or 8 different other flavors that I'm going to use, and I'll use them as inspiration in other videos. It's not necessarily going to be a card. Probably most of them will be, but I may use it as inspiration for a layout as well. So I'm going back to these droplets here, and I'm going to kind of create a little point, I don't know what you would call it, point of focus in the corner here, a cluster in the corner, I guess. I'm just kind of randomly picking a few different sizes. And like I said, I have like 3 packages of these, so I was really not shy about how many I used. It didn't matter. I've had these for months, and this is the first time I've used them, so I had all these big plans to use them when I bought them, and then I have not, so anyways. And there are some giant droplets, but I thought they would just be too big for this card. And they feel kind of silicone-like, and they're kind of sticky. Not even just on the back, but a little bit on the front. But once you get them down, they don't move. I mean, I had to use my fingernails to move them, but they really adhere pretty well. So the card is almost finished here. I just felt like the edges need to be finished a little bit, so I ended up going and grabbing my Zig Writer, and it's the pure black color, and I used the 0.5 millimeter end. And I'm just drawing a double line here under my little banner at the bottom. And then I'm going to draw a double line, and I'm going to draw a double line up both sides as well. They're up the side and across the top. And this just to kind of give it a little bit more of a finished look. As I was going along, I wasn't 100% sure I liked it, so I was starting to get a little nervous that I might be messing it up. But as I did the other sides, it made it a little bit more cohesive. And then the label sticker was getting kind of lost there, so I go back and I also outline a little bit of that label sticker just to kind of give it a little bit, to draw a little bit more attention to it. And I just do the edges of it. I should have really done that before I put the tag on top. It would have been much easier than trying to work around it. But you know, you live and you learn. Alright, and that pretty much ends my card. Thank you for joining me, and you'll see more on this series coming up shortly. Thank you!